Hey everybody, Robbie with Robbie's Reptiles. I had an idea earlier today that I wanted to start a new series on this channel where I was reviewing your guys' geckos. So I asked on my Instagram for you guys to send over pictures of your favorite geckos, and I'm going to be reviewing them in today's episode. Quick disclaimer, all of these are just going to be opinions as a breeder, not as a pet owner. Again, if you're a pet owner, it doesn't really matter what your gecko looks like as long as you love them, as long as you care about them. That's good, awesome. Cool, I'm glad we can get that out of the way. All of this is not dissing you as a person in any way, all that mumbo jumbo. So the first gecko that I was sent was by TC Geckos, and it's this beautiful male. Let's go ahead and talk about it. So right off the bat, amazing paper whites. I don't think I've ever seen a gecko with more paper white than this one. Really impressive. Good head structure, it looks like. You can tell because the crests are pointing down. Really important when it comes to breeding. You want the crests on their head to be pointing down. It's a sign of good head structure. I wish that the graham cracker in the head that was a little bit more saturated, kind of like it is on the body if you look closely. Besides that, awesome coverage. I really like its socks and kneecaps as well, and its tail is also really interesting. I wish that it was taken on a real camera, but that's okay. And it also has tipped crest. It looks like it has probably pinstripe in it. It's a beautiful looking gecko. I honestly would give it an 8 out of 10, 8.5 out of 10. It's a really solid male, and I would definitely breed it if I had it. So TC Geckos, good on ya. Okay, so this next one is from Ferns Forest, and they sent me a couple, but I'm just going to look over the prettiest one because we're on a good roll here. So this one right here is a female lily white. It looks like it's ready to breed. Really nice paper white, of course. It doesn't have that highlighter effect that I've seen some lilies have, which is a bummer. But it's a bummer to have the highlight. It's better if you don't. Extreme Harlequin, really nice drip. I really like the fact that its lips are white. I always think that's an interesting touch. It's got really nice lashes on its eyes as well, which is something that not a lot of people pay attention to. There's an interesting way to describe this, and I don't know how to describe it other than lumpy or too thick. And I don't mean by its weight. It's a perfectly weighted gecko. What I'm talking about is if you look really closely at the pin, at like the actual pin stripe, where the larger scales are, they're really thick. And the way that its drips are laid out, it looks a bit weird. I've seen other geckos, specifically lily white, that look like this as well, and I've always thought that it kind of looked off. That's just me and my personal preference, but I mean, it is a really nice lily with a great coverage. I would buy it if I had the option. I would give this female a 7 out of 10, just because of the lumpiness and the bad head structure. Next is from sbsf Reptiles in Ventura, California. That's where I'm from. And it is this really pale looking gecko. I don't know the lineage of it. And from what I can see, it is something sort of like, it looks like it has pinstripe. It looks like just a normal Harlequin. Very pale. I like pale. That looks cool. But it does have Dalmatian spots from what I can see. So for me, I mean, I can't give it a score of anything higher than 5 if I see that there's Dalmatian spots mixed in with pattern. That's just me. It does look like it has some indecent scaling down its back, which is a bummer. But yeah, other than that, solid 5 out of 10. Next up is from AG Exotics, and we have a hatchling. So off the bat, just so that I clarify, anytime I'm reviewing a hatchling, it's not going to be a very good rating because you don't know what they're going to become. So unless it's like a 10 out of 10 hatchling, it's almost always going to be about 6. It looks to be a tiger, only because I'm only saying that because of the way that the dorsal patterning is working. It looks a little bit different than an extreme Harlequin. And this gecko is trying to run away. It does have a Dalmatian spot on it as well. So for me, that's an immediate 5. Not going to go any higher than that. It looks like it's shedding, whatever. I'm sure it's going to be a perfectly healthy baby. If it's a pet, good on you. But for breeding purposes, I would never breed it. Next up, we have the Little Home Zoo on Instagram. I'm going to go over, I guess, the first one as well. It looks like we have a dashed pinstripe kind of gecko. Dashed pinstripe with extreme Harlequin. I'd consider it a Halloween. You could push if you want to say tricolor because it technically does have the 3 colors. Decent head structure, really good crests. If there aren't any Dalmatian spots, I'd give it a 5.5 out of 10, roughly. Next up, ragtag geckos. One of the proud owners of some of my Chad babies. We have what's her name? Banan. This female. Incredible female. The only thing that I can immediately tell that I don't like is the head structure, but that's okay. Oftentimes with something that has this much pattern, it's okay. Incredible pattern. Let's go ahead and go over it. It's got really nice cream to white ratio, I would say. And while its base color isn't black, I'm still a fan of it. I think it looks really nice. This is probably easily a $1,500 female, $2,000 female if it's already proven. Really nice drip. I like that it isn't so just like blanket down from the dorsal. I like that it's individual dots. I think that looks really unique. This is a really good female, and I can see why you bought some of my Chad babies. Yeah, I would give this female a solid 8.5 out of 10. Really good. Next up, we have Breeze Reptiles with a pretty bog standard looking gecko with sort of a muddy base color. So this is the first time in this that we've had something with such a muddy base color. This is what we try to avoid with breeding often because it just doesn't allow for a lot of contrast to show. It does look like it has Dalmatian spots. I might be wrong, so immediate 5 for me. And then on top of that, it has really poor definition in its dorsal if you are trying to go for that quad stripe kind of look, which I know you probably didn't go for, you just bought it. Other than that, it has poor head structure as well. And you can tell from this specific picture that, the head is just completely pointing up, which is terrible head structure. And you never want that when it comes to breeding. So up next is Port Geckos from Canada. It is a lavender-based lily white, it looks like, and it has, it looks a little bit yellow to me rather than that nice paper white. So with age, it's probably gonna come out a lot better. So that is something to keep in mind with hatchling photos. It's always annoying. That's why I usually don't buy babies. Other than that, it looks like it's got a good pinstripe. It's got decent coverage. It's gonna explode with pattern as it ages. Hopefully that cream and yellow turns into that paper white that we love lilies for so much. And other than that, it's got really bad head structure. So for me, I can't give it anything higher than a 6.5, 7. Okay, the geckos are getting a little bit restless. So that's gonna do it for today's video for part 1 of this new series that I'm doing. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I only had this on my story for a couple of hours and I had enough to make a video out of it. So thank you guys for that. If you wanna see more of this type of video, leave a comment down below. Make sure to like and subscribe and all that YouTube mumbo jumbo, and I'll see you guys in the next video.